then Hamilton, then Leclerc. Final corner, we're going back. That's bizarre.
It's just...
Ferrari just had the most dangerous kind of Monaco weekend. Not a slow one. A fast one that ended with Charles Leclerc in the wall. And that is what makes this story so much bigger than one crash. Because Leclerc was not fighting for nothing. He was at home in a Ferrari quick enough to reach the podium with the race almost under control, and then in the final laps, everything vanished. But the shocking part is not that he crashed. The shocking part is what he said after it. This was not, according to Charles, just a driver pushing too hard. This was a Ferrari braking problem that had already been haunting him, a problem the team had already seen in the data, and a problem that may explain why Lewis Hamilton walked away with a huge podium while Leclerc walked away with more questions than answers. One Ferrari finished second. The other Ferrari hit the wall. Same team. Same race. Very different truth. And now, with new evidence pointing toward the brake behavior, Monaco may have exposed the one weakness Ferrari cannot hide anymore. Because if Ferrari really had a solution available, if Hamilton's side of the garage was already using a different direction, and if Leclerc stayed with the setup he trusted most, then this crash was not just painful. It was a warning. A warning about the car. A warning about the team. And maybe the first real sign of tension between Ferrari's future with Hamilton and Ferrari's loyalty to Leclerc. Subscribe to the channel. Monaco is not a normal race for Ferrari. It never has been. On most circuits, a driver can make a small mistake and survive it. He can run wide, lose a few tenths, damage a tire, maybe give up a position. The punishment can hurt, but it does not always destroy the race. Monaco is different. Monaco does not forgive uncertainty. Every braking zone feels like a test of nerve. Every corner is surrounded by walls that seem close enough to touch. The driver is not just racing against the cars around him. He is racing against doubt, pressure, memory, and the tiny voice in his head asking whether the car will do exactly what he expects when he finally commits. And for Charles Leclerc, that pressure is even heavier. Because this is not just another street circuit. This is home. These are the roads where every fan wants the fairy tale. Every camera is waiting for the emotional victory. Every year, the same question comes back with more weight. Is this finally the Monaco where Charles Leclerc gets the result he deserves? That is why this weekend mattered so much. Ferrari arrived with a car that looked genuinely dangerous. Not dangerous in the wrong way, at least not at first. Dangerous for the rest of the grid. The SF26 had pace. It had balance. It looked sharp in the slow corners, stable through the tight sections, and strong enough to make Ferrari believe that Monaco could become a turning point. And that matters because Monaco has a way of exposing the truth. A weak car cannot hide there. If the traction is poor, Monaco shows it. If the chassis is lazy, Monaco shows it. If the driver has no confidence, Monaco screams it. So when Ferrari looked fast through practice, when the car seemed alive in the streets, when Hamilton looked comfortable and Leclerc was close enough to make the garage believe, the message was clear. Ferrari were not there to survive. They were there to win something back. But here is the problem. The first warning signs were already there. Not loud enough to dominate the headlines. Not dramatic enough to stop the weekend. But they were there, hiding underneath the pace. Leclerc had already been talking about the brakes. He had already been feeling something he did not like. Not just once. Not just in one strange corner. The discomfort had followed him across more than one weekend, and in Formula One, when a driver keeps mentioning the same feeling, the team listens. Or at least it has to. Because braking confidence is everything in Monaco. Think about what a Formula One driver is actually doing there. He is aiming at walls at impossible speed, then trusting the car to slow down in a space that looks far too small. He cannot wait until he feels safe. If he waits, the lap is gone. He has to believe before the car proves it. That is what makes braking so psychological. It is not only mechanical. It is not only about discs, temperatures, balance, or pressure. It is about belief. The driver's foot moves before the mind has time to negotiate. The driver commits because the feeling has been built over lap after lap. If that feeling is clean, the driver attacks. If that feeling is uncertain, the driver starts driving with one hand tied behind his back. And that is where Leclerc's Monaco began to look fragile. On paper, Ferrari had speed. On track, Charles had doubt. That is a dangerous combination. Because a slow car tells you the truth early. You know what it cannot do. You manage expectations. You protect what you can. A fast car with a hidden weakness is worse. It invites you to push. It tells you the result is possible. It shows you a podium, maybe even a victory close enough to reach. And then, at the exact moment you need total trust, it asks you to gamble. That was the trap forming around Ferrari. Hamilton, on the other side, seemed to be building confidence. His race pace looked solid. His relationship with the car appeared cleaner. The same streets that punished hesitation seemed to reward his calm, and that created a quiet contrast inside the garage before the race had even reached its most dramatic moment. One driver was proving the car could work. The other was warning that something underneath him did not feel right. And Ferrari had to carry both truths at once. That is the part people often miss about a team like Ferrari. From the outside, it looks simple. Two red cars. Same badge. Same ambition. Same pressure. But inside the garage, each car can become its own story. Different settings. Different feedback. Different confidence. Different risk. And when one driver feels secure while the other feels exposed, the team is no longer just racing the field. It is managing tension inside its own walls. For Leclerc, the emotional weight of that tension was massive. Leclerc had already been uncomfortable under braking across recent weekends. He had already felt that the final phase of slowing the car down was not giving him the confidence he needed. And at Monaco, that weakness is not a small inconvenience. It is like trying to walk across a narrow bridge while one of the boards bends under your foot. You may still cross it once. You may even cross it twice. But every step becomes harder because your mind is no longer thinking about where you want to go. It is thinking about what might fail underneath you. That is what braking doubt does to a racing driver. It steals attention. It interrupts instinct. It turns a natural movement into a negotiation. And in Monaco, negotiation is dangerous. The driver has to brake, turn, and trust almost in one breath. There is no wide escape road waiting. No soft second chance. No generous strip of tarmac where the car can slide, gather itself, and continue. There is only the wall. So when Leclerc said the brakes were the issue, the crash became part of a larger pattern. Not a sudden disaster. A warning that had been growing. And the most uncomfortable part for Ferrari is that this problem did not seem completely unknown. According to the information around the team, Ferrari already had a different braking solution available. A different direction. A configuration that was not simply theoretical because the other side of the garage had already been using something different. That is where the story becomes more than technical. It becomes political. Because Lewis Hamilton was not having the same kind of Monaco. He was not leaving the weekend with a destroyed car and a public complaint about rear braking confidence. He was standing on the podium, giving Ferrari one of the strongest signs yet that his arrival was not just a commercial dream or a romantic reunion with red overalls. It was working. And that is exactly why the tension rises. Same team. Same circuit. Same brutal walls. But two completely different outcomes. Hamilton found a way to bring the car home in second. Leclerc lost a home podium in the final laps. And once that happens, the garage cannot avoid comparison. It may not say it out loud. It may not turn into an argument. But Formula One teams live through comparison. Every lap, every sector, every trace of brake pressure, every comment in the engineering room, every decision about which setup path deserves more faith. The timing made it even sharper. Hamilton had reportedly been using the newer braking direction for several races. Leclerc had stayed with the more familiar configuration, partly because Monaco is the last place a driver wants to gamble on something that feels unknown. And on the surface, that choice makes sense. When the walls are that close, familiarity can feel safer than innovation. A driver does not want to discover a new behavior halfway through the most demanding street race of the season. He wants the pedal to feel known. He wants the response to feel predictable. He wants his body to remember the car before his brain has to analyze it. But Formula One can be cruel. Because sometimes the familiar part is the part that hurts you. That is the uncomfortable possibility Ferrari now has to face. Leclerc may have chosen the brake configuration he trusted most, only to discover that trust was built on something unstable. And if Hamilton's alternative was already reducing the problem, then Ferrari has a second question. Why was the team still split? This is not about blaming one person. That would be too easy. A driver makes decisions with engineers. Engineers provide data. The team weighs risk. The setup is built through compromise. Nothing in Formula One happens in isolation. But that is exactly why the situation feels so serious. Because the crash was not simply the result of one driver going too fast into one corner. It was the final result of a chain. A known discomfort. A setup decision. A technical solution not fully shared across both cars. A race at the most unforgiving circuit in the world. And then, one moment where the car went straight instead of stopping the way Leclerc needed it to. That chain is what Ferrari now has to break. But there is another layer, and this one may matter even more for the rest of the season. The brake issue is not just a brake issue. It connects to the way the whole new Ferrari works. Modern Formula One braking is not as simple as pressing a pedal and squeezing metal discs. The car is also recovering electrical energy. It is moving forces between mechanical stopping power and hybrid systems. It is trying to slow down while also feeding energy back into the system for later use. For a casual fan, think of it like this. Imagine riding a bicycle down a hill, but every time you brake, the bike also tries to charge a battery. If the system is smooth, you barely notice. If it changes suddenly, even a little, the bike can feel strange right when you need it to feel safest. That is the danger. The driver does not need a huge failure to lose confidence. He only needs the feeling to change at the wrong time. In Monaco, the wrong time is every time. That is why this evidence matters so much. The data pointing away from the track surface and toward braking behavior does not just explain one crash. It suggests that the car's most delicate systems may still be operating inside a very narrow window. Fast when everything is perfect. Unforgiving when one part of the balance disappears. And this creates a strange contradiction for Ferrari. The SF26 may be one of the strongest cars they have built in years. But if that strength depends on the driver managing an unstable feeling under braking, then the performance is not fully usable. A race car is not only judged by its best lap. It is judged by what the driver can repeat under pressure. Lap after lap, corner after corner, with fuel burning away, with tires changing, with temperatures moving, with another car close behind, with a podium almost in reach. That is where confidence becomes speed. Hamilton's second place showed what Ferrari can be when confidence and setup align. Leclerc's crash showed what Ferrari becomes when they do not. And the scary part is that both versions are real. This is not a case where the team can ignore the bad and celebrate the good. The good result actually makes the bad result harder to explain. Because if the car had no pace, then Leclerc's pain would be part of a general Ferrari failure. But the car did have pace. That means Ferrari now has to investigate why one driver could turn that pace into a podium, while the other was left describing a car that would not slow down the way he needed. And this is where the internal pressure begins to change shape. At first, the pressure was about the Monaco result. Then it became about the crash. Now it becomes about the next decision. Does Ferrari force both cars toward Hamilton's braking direction? Does it rebuild Leclerc's confidence around the solution he avoided? Does it sacrifice a tiny amount of peak performance to make the system more predictable? Or does it keep chasing the sharpest version of the car, knowing that sharp can also mean fragile? Those choices matter because Ferrari cannot afford to turn a technical issue into a driver issue. If Leclerc continues to feel uncomfortable, the narrative will not stay kind for long. People will ask whether Hamilton has adapted better. They will ask whether Ferrari's future is shifting. They will ask whether Charles is overdriving, whether he is under pressure, whether his home race pain is becoming something deeper. But that would miss the real point. A driver cannot perform at his best if the car does not give him the final piece of trust. And Leclerc's entire Monaco weekend now looks like a warning about that missing piece. The warning was there in qualifying when he touched the wall and damaged the rear suspension. It was there in the discomfort he had already described. It was there in the contrast with Hamilton. And finally, it was there in the crash that turned Ferrari's strong weekend into a question mark. That is the part that makes this story so dangerous for Maranello. Ferrari did not leave Monaco with no answer. They may have left with too many answers. The data says one thing. Hamilton's result says another. Leclerc's words say another. And all of them point to the same uncomfortable truth. Ferrari's speed is real. But the trust inside the car is not yet equal. And when trust is not equal, pressure is never far behind.